In the vast expanse of the Milky Way, a colossal power known as the Galactic Empire reigned supreme. For millennia, they had conquered countless worlds, absorbing civilizations into their ever-growing domain. Their thirst for expansion knew no bounds, and their advanced technology made them nearly unstoppable. At the heart of the empire stood the Imperial Palace, a structure so massive it dwarfed entire cities. Within its ornate halls, Emperor Zorn VII paced restlessly. His reptilian features were set in a perpetual scowl as he reviewed the latest reports from his conquest fleets. "Another sector pacified, Your Majesty," reported Grand Admiral Krell, his voice a metallic rasp through his cybernetic vocal cords. "The Andromeda arm is now fully under our control." Emperor Zorn's eyes narrowed. "Is that all, Admiral? Mere dregs and backward worlds. I hunger for a real challenge, a prize worthy of my reign." As if on cue, a junior officer burst into the throne room, his multiple appendages quivering with excitement. "Your Imperial Majesty, forgive the intrusion, but we've made an extraordinary discovery." The Emperor's interest was piqued. "Speak, and pray it's worth this interruption." The officer activated a holographic display, revealing a small blue-green planet. "Our long-range scanners have detected a previously unknown world in a backwater system. Initial readings indicate a civilization on the cusp of interstellar travel, but with some unusual characteristics." Emperor Zorn leaned forward, his eyes gleaming with newfound interest. "Unusual how? The inhabitants, while technologically inferior to us, show remarkable adaptability and resilience. They've survived multiple extinction-level events and continue to thrive. Their genetic diversity is off the charts, and their cultures are wildly varied for a single species." The Emperor's lips curled into a sinister smile. "A world of survivors, eh? Now that could be interesting. What do they call this little rock? They call it Earth, Your Majesty." And so began the Empire's fascination with the third planet from an unremarkable yellow star, far from the galactic core. In the weeks that followed, the Imperial Intelligence Agency dispatched its best spies and scouts to Earth. Cloaked ships entered the solar system, their advanced stealth technology rendering them invisible to Earth's primitive detection systems. From high orbit, the Imperial agents watched and studied. They intercepted radio and television broadcasts, hacked into computer networks, and even sent disguised operatives to walk among the humans. What they found both impressed and puzzled them. Agent Czar, the lead field operative, compiled his reports with growing amazement. Humans, despite their technological limitations, had achieved remarkable feats. They had split the atom, walked on their own moon, and created global communication networks. Yet they also waged constant wars, polluted their own planet, and seemed perpetually on the brink of self-destruction. "It's as if they're in a race with themselves," Czar mused in his log, "racing to see if they'll reach the stars or annihilate themselves first." The Empire's scientists were particularly intrigued by humanity's genetic diversity and their ability to survive in a wide range of environments. From the freezing poles to scorching deserts, humans had found ways to adapt and thrive. "Their potential as a slave race is immense," noted Chief Geneticist Vex in her report. "With some minor modifications, they could be made to work in virtually any environment in our empire." But it was the human spirit that truly caught the Empire's attention. Despite facing overwhelming odds, humans showed an uncanny ability to persevere and even triumph. Their history was filled with tales of underdogs defeating superior forces, of individuals changing the course of nations through sheer will and determination. This worried some of the more cautious Imperial advisors. A species with such a strong survival instinct could prove problematic to control, warned Security Chief Draz. "We may need to approach this conquest differently." Emperor Zorn, however, saw only opportunity. The chance to subjugate such a unique species filled him with excitement he hadn't felt in centuries. "Prepare the invasion fleet," he commanded. "But first, I want more information. Send in the deep cover agents. I want to know everything about these humans, their strengths, their weaknesses, their hopes, and their fears." And so, as Earth continued its daily routines, blissfully unaware of the looming threat, the Galactic Empire began its most thorough infiltration yet. Across the globe, seemingly ordinary people went about their lives, harboring a deadly secret. The barista in New York, the teacher in Tokyo, the farmer in Kenya, all were imperial agents in deep cover, gathering intel for the coming invasion. They watched as humans battled against natural disasters, marveling at their resilience. They observed political upheavals, noting how quickly humans could adapt to new systems. They studied human art, music, and literature, puzzled by the depth of emotion and creativity displayed. "These humans are full of contradictions," reported Agent Yara, embedded as a college student in Brazil. "They create weapons that can destroy their entire world, yet they also make music that can move one to tears. They wage war over trivial differences, yet they'll risk their lives to save a stranger. I've never encountered a species quite like them." As months passed, the Empire's understanding of humanity grew, but so did their concern. Humans, for all their flaws, possessed a spark that made them unpredictable. Their ability to unite in the face of common threats, their capacity for rapid technological advancement when pushed, and their sheer determination made them a potentially dangerous foe. In the Imperial Palace, Emperor Zorn reviewed the latest reports with a mixture of anticipation and caution. "These humans are more intriguing than I initially thought," he mused to his advisors. "They could either be our greatest conquest or our most formidable enemy." The Emperor's eyes gleamed with the thrill of the challenge. "Ready the first wave of our invasion force. It's time to test these humans, to see if they're truly worthy of joining our empire." Little did Emperor Zorn know that his actions were about to awaken a sleeping giant. Earth, which had faced countless challenges throughout its history, was about to confront its greatest threat yet. And in doing so, humanity would discover strengths they never knew they possessed. As the Imperial fleet began its long journey towards Earth, a lone dissenter among the Empire's ranks made a fateful decision. Risking everything, this individual set out to warn humanity of the impending danger. The stage was set. The Galactic Empire had set its sights on Earth, and the fate of humanity hung in the balance. The coming conflict would determine whether Earth would become just another conquered world in the vast imperial domain, or if humanity would rise to become a force that even the mighty Galactic Empire would learn to fear. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what would unfold when an unstoppable force met the indomitable spirit of humanity. In the bustling heart of the Galactic Empire's capital world, Zircon, a lone figure, hurried through crowded streets. Kale, a low-ranking data analyst in the Imperial Intelligence Agency, clutched a small device close to his chest. His three hearts raced with fear and determination. For months, Kale had watched the reports about Earth flood in. Unlike his colleagues who saw only a planet ripe for conquest, he saw something different. He saw beauty, potential, and a spirit that reminded him of his own long-lost homeworld. "I can't let it happen again," Kale muttered to himself as he ducked into a narrow alley. "I won't stand by and watch another world fall." With trembling hands, he activated the device. It was a portal generator, stolen from the Empire's top-secret research facility. It was untested for long-range travel, but Kale had no choice. He input the coordinates for Earth and prayed to forgotten gods that it would work. The air crackled with energy. A swirling vortex of blue light appeared before him. Kale took a deep breath and stepped through, leaving behind the only life he had ever known. On Earth, in a small town in the American Midwest, Sarah Johnson was having a normal day. The 35-year-old high school science teacher was grading papers in her backyard when a blinding flash of light made her jump. When the spots cleared from her vision, Sarah gasped. Standing before her was a creature unlike anything she had ever seen. Humanoid in shape, but with blue skin, large almond-shaped eyes, and delicate antennae. Kyle raised his hands in a gesture of peace. "Please don't be afraid," he said, his words translated by a device on his wrist. "I come with a warning. Your world is in grave danger." Sarah, to her own surprise, found herself more curious than afraid. What are you?" "My name is Kale. I'm from a world far from here, part of what you would call the Galactic Empire. And that empire has set its sights on Earth. Over the next few hours, Kale explained everything to Sarah. The Empire's vastness, its thirst for conquest, and its imminent plans for Earth. Sarah listened, her mind reeling from the implications. "But why tell me?" she asked finally. "I'm just a teacher." "Why not go to the government?" Kyle shook his head. "Your governments are watched. The Empire has spies everywhere. I needed someone ordinary, someone they wouldn't suspect, someone who could spread the warning quietly." Sarah felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. "What can we do? How can we possibly fight something so advanced? You have something the Empire doesn't expect, unity and diversity. Your planet's greatest strength is its variety of cultures, ideas, and approaches. Use that. Prepare in ways the Empire won't anticipate." For the next few days, Sarah and Kale worked tirelessly. They used her scientific knowledge and his insider information to craft a message that would be taken seriously. They created dossiers on Imperial technology, tactics, and weaknesses. But spreading the word proved challenging. When Sarah approached her local officials, she was dismissed as a crackpot. Online posts were buried under conspiracy theories or removed by moderators. "We need proof," Sarah realized. "Something undeniable." Kyle nodded grimly. "I can provide that, but it's risky. The Empire will detect any use of advanced technology." They decided to take the risk. Using Kale's portal device, they transported to key locations around the world, gathering influential people who might listen. A renowned scientist in Tokyo, a general in Moscow, a tech billionaire in Silicon Valley. At each stop, Kyle demonstrated technology centuries beyond Earth's capabilities. He showed them holographic star maps of the Empire, weapons that could level mountains, and medical devices that could cure diseases thought incurable. Slowly, belief began to spread. Secret meetings were held in underground bunkers. Plans were made in whispered conversations. The world's brightest minds were quietly mobilized, but the Empire was not blind to these actions. Imperial Agent Vex, disguised as a human politician, reported back to Emperor Zorn. "The humans are becoming aware, Your Majesty. It seems they had help. From one of our own." Emperor Zorn's rage shook the Imperial Palace. "Find this traitor and accelerate our plans." We attack ahead of schedule. Back on Earth, Sarah and Kale worked against time. They had managed to convince key world leaders, but preparing the general population without causing panic was a delicate balance. "We need to unite the planet," Sarah said one evening, as they pored over plans. "But how do we do that without revealing the threat and causing chaos?" Kale thought for a moment. "What if we use your entertainment industry? Create stories, movies, games about alien invasions. Make people think about how they would react, what they would do. Prepare them subconsciously." Sarah's eyes lit up. "Brilliant! We can hide the preparation in plain sight." They reached out to filmmakers, authors, and game developers. Soon, a wave of alien-themed media swept the globe. People debated survival strategies over dinner tables, not realizing they were preparing for a very real threat. Meanwhile, the world's militaries secretly adapted their strategies. Scientists worked around the clock to advance Earth's technology, guided by the insights Kale provided. But time was running out. Kale's stolen Imperial communicator crackled to life one night, intercepting a coded message. His face paled as he translated it. "The invasion fleet has entered your solar system," he told Sarah, his voice heavy. "We have weeks, maybe days." Sarah took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. "Then we keep working. We've done what we can to warn and prepare. Now we need to be ready to fight." Across the globe, those in the know braced themselves. In hidden bunkers and secret labs, humanity's best and brightest put the finishing touches on their plans and inventions. The Galactic Empire thought they were descending on an unsuspecting, primitive world. They were about to discover how wrong they were. Humanity, united by an unlikely alliance between a human teacher and an alien defector, was ready to show the galaxy what they were made of. As the first Imperial ships appeared in Earth's skies, Sarah looked at Kale. "Do you think we have a chance?" Kale smiled, a gesture he had learned from his time on Earth. "If there's one thing I've learned about humans, it's that you should never be underestimated. The Empire has no idea what they're in for." And with that, the battle for Earth began. As the first Imperial ships loomed in Earth's skies, a wave of panic swept across the globe. But in secret bunkers and hidden facilities, a different energy pulsed: determination. World leaders, who had been quietly informed and prepared by Sarah and Kale, sprang into action. An emergency United Nations session was called, broadcast to every corner of the planet. Citizens of Earth, the UN Secretary-General addressed the world, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. We face a threat unlike any in human history, but we do not face it unprepared. For months we have been readying ourselves. Now we must stand united. Across the globe, carefully laid plans unfolded. Military forces that had been discreetly mobilized moved into position. Scientists who had been working tirelessly revealed their innovations. And ordinary citizens, subconsciously prepared by months of alien-themed media, stepped up to play their part. In a vast underground complex beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Yuki Tanaka led a team of international scientists. They huddled around a device that looked like a cross between a satellite dish and a giant lens. "This is our best shot at neutralizing their shields," Dr. Tanaka explained to the military observers. "It uses principles from Kale's technology combined with our own research into quantum entanglement." Across the world, similar scenes played out. In Bangalore, India, a team of programmers put the finishing touches on an AI system designed to predict and counter imperial tactics. In Rio de Janeiro, biologists worked on enhancing human resilience to potential alien bioweapons. But it wasn't just the scientific community that was preparing. In towns and cities everywhere, people came together. Community centers became impromptu training grounds. Retired soldiers taught basic combat skills. Survivalists shared their knowledge of living off the land. Sarah found herself at the heart of this whirlwind of activity. Her classroom skills proved invaluable in helping to coordinate and communicate complex plans. She worked tirelessly, moving from one crisis center to another, always with Kale by her side. "I never thought I'd see anything like this," Sarah marveled as they watched a group of farmers adapting their equipment into makeshift weapons. "It's like the whole world has come together." Kyle nodded, a mix of admiration and worry on his alien features. "This is why I believed in humanity. This spirit, this ability to unite and adapt. But the Empire is still vastly more powerful. We need every advantage we can get." One key advantage came from an unexpected source. As governments revealed the truth about the impending invasion, the world's hackers and tech enthusiasts rallied. They formed a global network working to infiltrate and disrupt imperial communications. In a cluttered apartment in Seoul, a young hacker named Min Jun led this digital resistance. "We might not be able to match their tech," she told her online team, "but we can make sure they don't have a moment's peace in our systems." Meanwhile, the world's militaries underwent a rapid transformation. Traditional weapons were modified based on Kale's insights into imperial technology. Soldiers trained in new tactics designed to counter the expected imperial strategies. In a secret facility in the Sahara, General Amina Osei oversaw the development of a new type of combat drone. "These are designed to swarm and overwhelm their fighters," she explained to a group of pilots. "We can't match them one-on-one, but together we might stand a chance." But humanity's preparations weren't all about military might. Recognizing the need for long-term survival, vast underground shelters were constructed. Seed banks were expanded, and plans were made to preserve Earth's biodiversity in case of widespread destruction. In the Amazon rainforest, Dr. Carlos Mendoza led a team cataloging plant species with potential medicinal properties. "We're not just fighting for our survival," he told a documentary crew allowed to film their work. "We're fighting for our entire planet, for every living thing on it." As the days passed and the Imperial fleet drew closer, the pace of preparation became frantic. Sleep became a luxury as people worked around the clock. But despite the fear and exhaustion, a sense of purpose united humanity like never before. Old conflicts were set aside. Resources were shared freely between nations. People opened their homes to strangers evacuated from potential landing zones. It was as if, faced with an external threat, humanity had finally recognized its common bonds. Sarah and Kale found themselves in Washington, D.C., briefing a joint session of Congress. As they explained the latest updates on imperial movements, Sarah couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought them there. When you first arrived in my backyard, she told Kale during a break, I never imagined we'd end up here. Look at what humanity has accomplished in just a few months. Kyle smiled, a gesture he had grown fond of. It's more than I dared hope for. But the real test is still to come. Indeed, as inspiring as humanity's preparations were, the reality of what they faced loomed large. Imperial scout ships had been spotted conducting close flybys of major cities. Strange energy readings were detected in the upper atmosphere, hinting at the assembly of large structures in orbit. The Empire was preparing too, and the first real engagements were imminent. In a final push, Earth's leaders decided to attempt communication with the Empire. Using technology provided by Kale, they sent a message to the Imperial fleet. People of the Galactic Empire, the message began, broadcast in multiple formats to ensure it was received. We, the inhabitants of Earth, are aware of your presence and your intentions. We do not seek conflict, but we are prepared to defend our world with everything we have. We invite you to open diplomatic channels. Surely, there is more to be gained from peaceful coexistence than from war. As the message was sent, the people of Earth held their breath. In command centers and living rooms, on ships at sea and in space stations, humans waited for a response. Days passed with no reply. The silence was deafening, and tension built to an almost unbearable level. Then, exactly 1 week after Earth's message was sent, the sky lit up with thousands of entry trails. The Imperial invasion force had begun its descent. Sarah and Kale watched from the roof of the White House as fiery streaks cut across the night sky. Despite all their preparations, the sight filled them with awe and fear. So it begins, Kale said softly. Sarah took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. Yes, but whatever happens next, we face it together. All of us. Across the planet, humanity steeled itself for the fight of its life. The Galactic Empire was about to learn that conquering Earth wouldn't be as easy as they had imagined. The spirit of humanity, united and defiant, was ready to meet the challenge head-on. The night sky blazed with the fiery trails of thousands of Imperial ships entering Earth's atmosphere. Humanity's moment of truth had arrived. In the White House Situation Room, Sarah and Kale stood with world leaders, watching as red dots appeared on the global map. Each dot represented an Imperial landing site. They're targeting major cities and strategic locations, General Amina Osei pointed out. Just as we predicted. The President of the United States nodded grimly. Then let's hope our preparations pay off. Give the order! Operation Earthshield is a go. Across the globe, humanity's carefully laid plans sprang into action. In New York City, as massive Imperial ships descended towards Manhattan, the city's skyscrapers suddenly began to move. Entire buildings split apart, revealing hidden missile launchers and energy weapons. The Empire's first wave was met with a barrage of fire that lit up the night sky. Imperial Commander Zax watched in disbelief as his ships were torn apart by the unexpected defenses. Impossible! This planet was supposed to be primitive, but New York was just the beginning. In every major city, similar surprises awaited the invaders. In Tokyo, swarms of highly advanced drones, developed in secret by an international team of engineers, engaged the Imperial fighters. The drones, piloted by an AI system, moved with an agility that caught the Imperial pilots off guard. They're in our blind spots, an Imperial pilot shouted before his ship spiraled out of control, taken down by the relentless swarm. However, despite these initial successes, the sheer might of the Empire soon began to show. Their technology, centuries ahead of Earth's, allowed them to quickly adapt to the unexpected resistance. In London, after the initial surprise of the city's defenses wore off, the Empire unleashed weapons that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Beams of energy that bent around buildings to strike hidden targets. Gravity wells that crushed entire city blocks. Sarah watched in horror as the casualty reports began to pour in. "We're putting up a fight, but we're still outmatched," she said, her voice tight with worry. Kale nodded solemnly. "The Empire doesn't just conquer. They overwhelm. But don't give up hope yet. Your people have already surprised them once." Indeed, even as the Empire gained ground in some areas, humanity continued to find ways to resist. In the seas off the coast of Brazil, as Imperial ships attempted to establish a beachhead, they suddenly found themselves under attack from below. A fleet of secretly developed stealth submarines, using technology reversed-engineered from Kyle's data, launched volleys of advanced torpedoes. The Imperial ships, designed for space combat, struggled against this unexpected underwater threat. Several crashed into the sea, their hulls breached by weapons they never saw coming. Meanwhile, in orbit, another battle raged. The International Space Station, hastily retrofitted with weaponry, led a brave defense against the Empire's capital ships. Astronauts turned warriors fought with a determination that impressed even their enemies. On the ground, ordinary citizens played their part too. In rural areas, farmers used their intimate knowledge of the land to ambush Imperial ground forces. In cities, underground resistance networks sprang up overnight, sabotaging Imperial equipment and relaying intel to military command centers. But the Empire's technological superiority began to take its toll. They deployed nanobots that could disassemble buildings and vehicles in minutes. Force fields that could withstand nuclear blasts protected their most important assets. As the first day of the invasion turned into the second, then the third, humanity found itself being pushed back on multiple fronts. In Washington, D.C. Sarah and Cale worked tirelessly with military leaders to coordinate the global defense. Sleep-deprived and running on adrenaline, they pored over reports and strategized responses. "We need a game changer," Sarah said, rubbing her tired eyes. "Something they won't expect." Cale's antennae twitched thoughtfully. Perhaps we've been thinking too much like the Empire. We need to think like humans." This sparked an idea. Quickly, they reached out to an unlikely group: Hollywood special effects experts, stage magicians, and master illusionists. "We can't match their technology," Sarah explained to the gathered creatives via video conference. "But maybe we can trick it." Over the next few hours, a daring plan was hatched. Using a combination of holograms, sonic projectors, and carefully orchestrated deceptions, they would attempt to confuse the Empire's advanced sensors. The plan was put into action in the plains of Kansas, where a major Imperial force had established a base. As their ships took off for another assault, they suddenly found themselves surrounded by what appeared to be a massive human army, complete with advanced weaponry that hadn't been seen before. Confused and caught off guard, the Imperial forces split their attention, some engaging the illusion while others hesitated, unsure of what was real. Taking advantage of this confusion, actual human forces struck from hidden underground bunkers, inflicting significant damage before the Empire could regroup. This small victory breathed new life into the human resistance. Similar tactics were quickly adopted around the world, keeping the Imperial forces off balance and unsure of what to believe. But the Empire was far from defeated. In response to these guerrilla tactics, they began to employ wide-scale destructive measures. Entire cities were threatened with orbital bombardment if they didn't surrender. Humanity faced a terrible choice: resist and face obliteration, or submit and lose everything they had fought for. It was in this dark hour that an unexpected opportunity arose. Cale, monitoring Imperial communications, intercepted a message that made his heart race. "The Emperor himself is coming," he announced to the war room. "He's not satisfied with the progress of the invasion. He's coming to oversee it personally." A hush fell over the room as the implications sank in. This could be the key moment of the entire war. Sarah's mind raced with possibilities. If we could somehow capture the Emperor. General Osei nodded, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "We could force a negotiation, maybe even end this war. But the risks were enormous. The Emperor would be heavily guarded, his ship protected by the best technology the Empire had to offer. Any attempt to reach him would be a suicide mission. Yet, as they looked at the holographic display showing the devastation across the globe, they realized they might not have a choice. This could be humanity's last best hope. As the Emperor's ship entered the solar system, escorted by an armada of battle cruisers, Earth's leaders scrambled to formulate a plan. They had one shot at this: One chance to turn the tide of the war. Sarah turned to Kale, determination etched on her face. You once risked everything to warn us. Now we must risk everything to save our world. Kyle nodded, his alien features set in a resolute expression. Together, then. For Earth. As the Emperor's ship drew closer, humanity prepared for its most daring gambit yet. The fate of the entire planet would hinge on what happened next. The Empire had struck hard, but Earth wasn't beaten yet. The final battle was about to begin. The Emperor's massive ship, flanked by an armada of battlecruisers, entered Earth's orbit. Its size dwarfed even the largest human structures, casting a shadow over entire cities as it passed overhead. In a secret bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Sarah, Kale, and Earth's military leaders gathered for one last, desperate strategy session. This is our only chance, General Osi said, her voice firm. We have to get to the Emperor. Sarah nodded, her face a mix of determination and fear. But how? Their defenses are impenetrable. Kyle, who had been quiet for a while, suddenly spoke up. Not impenetrable. Difficult, yes, but not impossible. I think I know a way. All eyes turned to the alien defector as he explained his plan. It was audacious, borderline insane, but it just might work. Hours later, as the Emperor's ship hovered over New York City, the plan was set in motion. It began with a massive electromagnetic pulse, carefully calibrated based on Kale's knowledge of Imperial technology. The pulse, generated by devices hidden in cities around the world, disrupted the Empire's communications for a crucial few minutes. In that window of confusion, a small team led by Sarah and Kale launched from a hidden base in New Jersey. Their ship, a hybrid of human and alien technology, was unlike anything the Empire had encountered before. As they approached the Emperor's vessel, automated defense systems began to target them. But here, humanity's diversity proved to be its strength. The ship's pilot, a former video game champion named Raj, maneuvered with unpredictable patterns that confused the Imperial targeting systems. It's like the ultimate game of Space Invaders, Raj quipped, his hands dancing over the controls as he dodged energy beams and missiles. Meanwhile, on the ground, humanity launched a series of coordinated attacks on Imperial positions worldwide. It wasn't meant to defeat the Empire, but to distract them, to keep their attention divided. In orbit, Sarah's team finally reached the Emperor's ship. Using technology Kale had helped develop, they created a small breach in the ship's energy shields. It was just large enough for a single person to slip through. Sarah took a deep breath, checking her spacesuit one last time. I never thought I'd be breaking into an alien spaceship when I woke up in my backyard a few months ago. Kale placed a three-fingered hand on her shoulder. You've come a long way since then. We all have. With a nod to her alien friend, Sarah launched herself towards the breach. The fate of Earth rested on her shoulders. Inside the Emperor's ship, alarms blared as Sarah made her way through twisting corridors. The interior was a maze of advanced technology, pulsing with strange energies. But thanks to Kale's training, Sarah knew where to go. As she approached the ship's central chamber, she encountered a squad of Imperial guards. For a moment, it seemed like the mission would end there. But then Sarah pulled out a small device Kyle had given her. When activated, it projected a holographic image of the Emperor himself, ordering the guards to stand down. The confused soldiers hesitated just long enough for Sarah to slip past them. Finally, she reached the Emperor's throne room. The massive doors slid open, revealing Emperor Zorn in all his alien glory. He was tall, regal, with skin that seemed to shimmer with starlight. "Impressive!" the Emperor's voice boomed. "I didn't think any human would make it this far." Sarah stood her ground, fighting the urge to flee. "It's over, Emperor. Call off your invasion!" The Emperor laughed, a sound like grinding galaxies. "Or what, little human? What can you possibly do to stop me?" That's when Sarah revealed her trump card. From her suit, she pulled out a small, unassuming device. "This," she said, "is connected to every nuclear weapon on Earth. If you don't withdraw, I'll detonate them all. Your prize will be nothing but a radioactive rock." The Emperor's eyes widened. "You're bluffing. You wouldn't destroy your own world." "Watch me," Sarah said, her finger hovering over the button. We would rather die free than live as slaves. For a long moment, silence filled the chamber. Two species, separated by vast gulfs of space and technology, stared each other down. Then, surprisingly, the Emperor began to laugh. But this time, it wasn't a laugh of mockery, but of genuine amusement. Well played, human. Well played indeed. He leaned back in his throne. In all our conquests, we've never encountered a species quite like yours. So fractious, yet so united when it counts. So primitive, yet so ingenious. Sarah blinked, confused by this sudden change. So you'll leave? The Emperor nodded. We will. But not because of your threat, impressive as it is. We'll leave because you've proven yourselves worthy of respect, and perhaps of partnership. Back on Earth, people watched in awe as the Imperial ships began to retreat. Cheers erupted in streets around the world as the news spread. Humanity had won. In the days that followed, a new era dawned for Earth. The Emperor, true to his word, withdrew his invasion forces, but he left behind something unexpected, an offer of alliance. You've shown us that there's more to strength than just technology, the Emperor told a gathered assembly of Earth's leaders. Your diversity, your adaptability, your sheer determination, these are qualities the Empire could benefit from. And so, Earth found itself not conquered, but elevated. Humanity became part of a galactic community, bringing its unique perspective and indomitable spirit to the stars. Sarah, hailed as a hero, found herself appointed as Earth's first ambassador to the Galactic Empire. As she prepared for her first trip to the Imperial capital, she couldn't help but reflect on the incredible journey that had led her there. I still can't believe it, she told Kyle as they stood on the launch pad, a sleek diplomatic ship waiting nearby. A few months ago, I was just a high school science teacher. Now I'm heading to the stars. Kyle smiled, a gesture he had perfected during his time on Earth. You humans have a saying, don't you? Reach for the stars. It seems you've taken it quite literally. As their ship lifted off, carrying them towards a new future, Sarah watched her home planet shrink in the viewport. Earth, once a target for conquest, now stood as a symbol of resilience and hope in the galaxy. The Galactic Empire had indeed set its sights on Earth, but in doing so, they had discovered not just a new world, but a new ally. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged triumphant, ready to take its place among the stars. As the ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, Sarah couldn't help but smile. The adventure, it seemed, was just beginning.